Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
All right, please note that the language and ideas presented on the show might not be suitable for everyone. If you're under 18, make sure your mom isn't around. If you're over 80, why is your mom around?
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
Okay, on Cyrus Says, we meet Gregory Kroitsch, a man whose name I can't pronounce, but his beers go down real smoothly for a price, affordable price. Gregory, coming soon.
Why follow your auntie's advice when you can follow Cyrus Says on Facebook and Twitter to stay updated about the latest shows?
Yeah, here on Cyrus Says, I was thinking for a second, we spend far too much time on things and far too much money on different things, and there must be something you can give up. And it hit me one day while in the shower. I spend, as you know, 4 to 5 hours in the shower every day, wasting water that's not available to many poor people. It hit me immediately that I can bite my nails instead of cutting them. Instead of going to a manicure, pedicure, getting your toenails and your fingernails done, just take them under the shower, wet them a little bit, and then go for the old bite. You're going to save time, you're going to save money. It's a great headache off your shoulders. So ladies and gentlemen, here on Cyrus Says, the advice for the day is bite your nails. If you want to freelance, you could bite somebody else's nails too, because I don't really care.
And that's what Cyrus says.
All right, here on Cyrus Says, let's meet my guest, a man who, for my money, is a humanitarian, a compassionate being, a person who provides seva, as we say in India, seva being service or help, to society. For me, you're as big as a person who helps, refugees in a crisis or people who are suffering from disease or famine, as far as I'm concerned, because you provide beer at almost affordable prices. We'll come to that in a second, because life is hard. Gregory, and let me get this right, is it Kroitsch?
It's Kroitsch, rhymes with Deutsch.
Oh, ist es sprechende Deutsch?
No, nein.
No,
that's my heritage.
Antecedents up from, and hence the beer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all in the DNA. Okay, so let's quickly give you a background about Gregory. He is the founder and owner of the Barking Deer, Mumbai's first microbrewery in Lower Parel, which actually caused quite a few to pop up. So you're really a pioneer. And people have started following, which means beer is the answer to a lot of our problems. And I've been saying that from the beginning. So Gregory, we're going to go through your life. We're going to start from your early childhood. We're going to go through your banking career and how you landed up in this godforsaken city we call Mumbai, which my parents call Bombay, and the British call that little coastal area. So, sadly, we have to start with the beginning, which is long, long ago, Greg. Can I call you Greg?
You can call me Greg.
Or you can call me Al.
My friends call me Greg.
Is it?
Yeah, why not?
That's not difficult to do.
Yeah.
Greg, let's go back a little in the beginning, because we've done a little research on you, and you were a banker.
Yeah.
Well, banker at Citibank in New York. I mean, that's a typical American sort of, I would say, upper middle class story. You know, the guy who, studies at New York, at NYC, then goes into Citibank, in the glory days of banks, of course, in the turn of the millennium. And from banker, this is a huge journey. So let's just rewind and start.
Yeah. I'll take you a little bit further back.
Please do.
I grew up in a tiny town of 300 people, nestled in the hills of Vermont, which is there's snow basically there 6 months.
Please hold for sarcasm and derision from an Indian perspective. There is no such thing as 300 people in a town here.
No. Yeah,
Wow.
that's it. So, and my parents ran an inn, a ski lodge. So I grew up in hospitality. That was my business, not my business. That was my life, basically, right? Because I grew up there. I saw and the one thing I learned, I think the most important thing I learned is that I should never do it myself. And look what happened.
Okay, now this metaphor is for a lot of different things.
Right.
And this is not that kind of program.
They worked too hard. They worked in all the wrong times. Whenever everybody was having fun, they were working.
You mean like weekends and holidays?
Yeah, exactly. So
that's your main working day.
Yeah. So I thought, what am I doing it myself now? But I got this idea. I got this crazy idea to brew beer. And as you said, I was a banker in New York. I graduated from Babson Business School outside of Boston.
Ooh.
Got my MBA there. So after, and that also gave me sort of a bug to open up my own business, because their specialty is entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me just rewind back to the ski lodge. Of course, I can't ski. Have you ever seen an Indian ski ever in your life?
My wife?
Yeah, but then she's like an American after living there and all. I'm saying like an Indian who comes on a holiday and then sort of, have you ever seen?
Yeah. Actually,
can you tell that we're Indians? Can you tell from the way we behave, the leg getting splayed or the person falling?
I just remember in the inn, we would get a lot of Indians up from New Jersey.
That's the capital of India now, yes.
Poorly dressed.
Yeah.
Screaming down the hill.
Falguni! Sanjo!
It was amazing.
Words like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, but
so you decided to pay us
they
back.
Loved it. They loved it. They had a great time.
I don't want to sound racist, but I just think that something some people shouldn't do, some cultures should not indulge in, and I just feel that brown-skinned people shouldn't be on skis.
No.
I look at them and my heart races. In fact, I've just come back from Austria, and we saw some of the Indians on a ski slope, and Indians, and I presume maybe Pakistanis or Bangladeshis, couldn't tell, but they just looked so uncomfortable. It just looked wrong.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to sound racist, but it looked wrong. It was like a picture that should be stopped.
No, I said badly dressed. I meant like not quite dressed for the cold.
Appropriately dressed.
Yeah. Not like they should be wearing tuxes or something.
They wear cricketers' gloves instead of proper gloves and a helmet you see on a scooter.
That was the dead giveaway. Yeah,
what's wrong with our people? How did you help us? Help us, Jeffrey. Hold my hand. No, so I want to go back. So you were in Vermont, which is not quite New York
Not
city.
Quite, no.
But then you went in, so that was a slightly different sort of background. Hospitality, as you said, working weekends, which is quite hilarious when everybody else is partying. Yeah. Your Sunday is the worst day because your parents don't have time for you. But then
I'm skiing though.
You're skiing.
When I was a kid, I was just off skiing. Yeah.
But then you do about turn and sort of have a very conventional college background where you studied entrepreneurship, etc., etc.
Yeah, and went on to bank for 10 years with Citibank in New York City. I was having what I felt was quite a good life.
Right.
Were
you an investment banker?
Yeah, I was a corporate banker. Yeah, working.
This is a poor man's investment banker.
Sort of yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that.
One India, one America. We're at halftime, ladies and gentlemen.
But it was a good job because I got to entertain my clients. I took them out to ball games and Madonna concerts and fun stuff like this. Yeah, we as relationship managers, you
get to do all the entertaining.
Get entertaining.
Do you choose or do the clients choose?
We have the company had certain tickets to things and take them out to
front row seats at the
martini
basketball
lunches and things like this. So it was like, it wasn't a bad job. It was challenging. It was fun. We were in New York City, and then the recession hit, 2008.
Correct.
And a lot of bankers like me were no longer bankers.
By then you were in India.
No.
Oh, you were still there?
The recession hit, and we were. I was one of the first ones to get, the pink slip, so to speak.
Oops.
And
I hate to take you back there, but I just wanted, because look at where you are now and how you turned your life around. Right. It's important for us to just look at that for a second. Yeah. My brother-in-law also got the pink slip, by the way, and he was a chemistry major, a PhD, etc., etc. So it's got nothing to do with how well they were doing. But what was that like? Because you come from a fairly stable life where you owned an inn, then you're a banker, and at the beginning it was glory days and you had all the big sporting events, etc. So was that a terrible thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because you've done everything correctly. Who do you blame?
It was a good life. It was quite a good life. We had just bought a house a year before. Of course, we bought at the peak of the housing prices.
The boom, you mean?
So
you paid the most.
You paid the most, and then it tanked, and then lost a job, and
what kind of banker does that?
I had an Indian to blame for it.
Yeah. Indians will never buy expensive houses.
No, because Vikram Pandit was the head of Citibank at the time. He took over, and then he did all of the cutting. Yeah. But it's okay. I don't blame him. Because you know what? I was very vulnerable.
He was the face of that entire Citibank thing. Now that I come to think of it.
Yeah. So that was fine. And then, I totally understood why. I mean, this is you have to be a big boy. I mean, this is corporate America. If you're not valuable to the company anymore and you're not sort of set in a right position, you're gone. And I didn't have the best clients. I had expendable clients, and they cut, and I was like, I knew it was coming. I knew it.
No, but in a sense, a little bit of frustration, because it's not like you're a guy serving at McDonald's, with due respect, which is a lovely job, and I would love to do it myself, except that their timing's all over the place. But, you're a guy who studied, you got your management degree, you've done many years in the business,
right.
and so from that point of view, didn't you feel that perhaps this is unfair? I mean, surely.
I didn't think it was. No, it wasn't unfair, because there are a lot of other people in my situation. There are many people out of work during that time. Just one of those things.
Not the Indians, except for Vikram Pandit.
Yeah, right. But but he, what was difficult, what was real struggle, is then you can add value. You know you're good at your job, and you can add value somewhere. And there was just nothing. There were no jobs to be had at that time. So when we felt like, okay, what are options? We've always thought about living in India. My wife, Geeta, grew up here in Mumbai,
Right.
Bombay.
Yeah.
She grew up at that time. And we thought, well, maybe we should give this a shot. And she was a journalist. They wanted to move her here, so I was a trailing spouse, so to
You were the
speak.
trophy husband.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
That's a good position, right?
But what was plan B in your mind at that point? Because there's no question of beer brewing and all that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was going to continue my banking career.
Yeah, so you just thought it's a bit of a lull and then you'll get something and
Yeah,
you'll move
and
on.
I did find something in finance.
But there's no parking in South Mumbai, so there's no point being a banker. You know how bad it is. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, I actually, to be honest, I did find something in finance after a lot of hard work here, but it was difficult. It was difficult for me, actually, to sort of work in an Indian corporate environment.
Just be critical, be honest, be open. Ours is a therapy session where we want you to tell the truth. So Indian corporate environment a little different from American? We've not had a guest like that. Please tell us.
It is. It's, I would say it's a lot more top-down, a lot less sort of enterprising for the employee. All decision making is sort of made at the top, and you sort of follow along. So there, it's difficult. It
So
really,
the hierarchy is very strong here.
very strong,
And you can't crack it. You just stay where you are. You know your place. Is that it?
Well, yeah, and even to sort of be more to the point, certain people were favored, and I have to say there were some issues with regionalism, let's say.
Okay, now you've really stumped me. Because you're an ethnic American man in Mumbai finding regionalism, as in people of their own ilk would get promotions.
Yeah, would be listened to, and
So
others
we've
would,
taken our
okay.
racism to another level. It's a very, very
So,
subtle. Yeah,
I stuck it
only
out.
my cousins get the promotion. Is that what you're trying to say?
I stuck it out for 9 months, and I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm not going anywhere with this, and this is where I got the bug. It's like, I think I basically came to the conclusion, and this one pushed it over the top for me, that corporate life was not for me anymore. I was just not going to. I did not fit. I didn't totally fit even the American corporate culture. I'm certainly not going to fit in the Indian corporate culture.
Corporate India claims another. Well done, corporate India. Proud young man came to India, embraced our culture, and you treated him with disrespect by embracing your regional cousins and brothers. How dare you? Was it Citibank, American Express, HDFC, HSBC? Names on the table. Let's point fingers. Let's call them names. Let's call up their relatives. Let's insult their cousins. Okay, Greg, don't worry. I'm just pulling your chain or yanking your leg. Wrong phrase both times. Now let's move to the success story. Before the success story, so what were you doing you're feeling disillusioned, let's face it, at this point. Geeta is okay. She's working here.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
So you're feeling perhaps a little redundant, all that, study and all that experience being wasted. So what is the idea in your head? What do you do? You're a young man.
I think some people would be like, oh, my wife is working. She has a good job. I'm going to kick back.
I would.
Yeah, right. I had a lot of people tell me that, oh, you're going to India. Your wife is working. Hey, that sounds great. I wouldn't.
Back in England, Theresa May's husband's doing nothing. She's the prime minister. These things happen.
Yeah, so I thought, but it was bothering me. It was.
So what was your plan B? What was your idea in your head? What are you going to do?
I looked at different business options. I thought, like, what can I start? I think I can start something here in India. And the only thing that really excited me was making beer. And my father had made his own beer before. He was a home brewer.
Back in the inn.
Yeah,
But for commercial purposes, because I know a lot of American families just do it for fun. Yeah, exactly.
Just for personal use. My grandfather always had a keg of beer in his refrigerator. We always had beer on tap. So I sort of grew up that way. I knew, beer was sort of a part of life. Mm-hmm. And then the craft beer movement in the United States, when we left, was in full swing. There was great beer everywhere. And just to give you some perspective, there were about 2,000 craft breweries around the United States when I left back in 2008. There are more than double that now. There are about 4,500. So that industry is just
quickly
boomed.
Craft beer is the homemade option. What is this craft beer?
Yeah, so I'd like to make a distinction between homebrew that people do on their own in their in their back
Spare
rooms,
time,
in their
bedrooms,
what the hell?
Whatever. Border the wife, let's make a beer.
That helps with the bedroom, I suppose.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
The 2 beers. Back to the wife. Huh?
And then house brew, the craft beer that professional brewers make, but on small scale. This is handcrafted beer made small scale, usually fairly small scale. Although the American craft brewers are getting bigger and bigger.
So what's the profit angle there? How do you monetize it?
Yeah, well, I thought this would work here. There's nothing like it here in India. I saw how fabulously well it was going in the United States and how it was catching on fire, and I just felt like India was just this beer wasteland. I mean, I remember just being astonished that people would argue the merits between Budweiser, Carlsberg, and Kingfisher, and I'm like, that's the same beer with a different label.
Kingfisher was a little heavier.
I don't know.
Because we have glycerin in our beer.
Yeah.
We've grown up with that. The moment I went to the States for the first time, I felt it was like water. Because the beer was so light. I'm talking about regular beer, which the Coors that I used to buy.
So there's a difference between that industrial beer that people were used to before. Industrial, large scale, cookie cutter beer, and then craft beer. It's like saying, I love beer and I only drink, Miller Lite. I only drink Budweiser. It's like saying I'm a foodie and I eat at McDonald's and Burger King. It's like saying the same sort of thing.
All my stories being exposed. Listen, for us Indians, McDonald's plays a part. We have to have a McDonald's birthday party once in our life.
Well, but hey, there's a place for...
And it is crappy food, you are right.
No, but there's a place for that, just like there's a place for the Budweisers and the Kingfishers. That's
there you go.
In the States we call them lawnmower beers, meaning it's a beer you could sort of drink throughout the day as you're doing your chores. But if you want to really enjoy something, you want something that is...
So this is a beer which is like a wine. It's sort of got more to it than just beer.
Absolutely. It's more complexity to it, more flavor. You're brewing this not just for a product to make money. You're brewing to people to enjoy it.
Fair enough. But I'm feeling really bad, like we're cheating the public because we're doing this talk and now we're getting like really into the beer. I'm thinking that we need to serve them some beer because they're listening to it and okay, so let's send them straight to your place at Lower Parel, which is called the
Barking Deer Brewpub.
And let me tell you, that's where you're going to get a taste of these beers that we're getting slightly intoxicated by just by listening to the descriptions. We'll take a quick break, Greg, and we'll come back and get fully into the whole beer movement now with you.
Great,
and understand craft beer and where we stand here in Mumbai. Because I thought, I didn't think Mumbai and India in general was beer country. I always thought growing up it was very much the hard liquor and all that survived. And beer was drunk by a few people here and there. But that's changing.
That's changing.
That's changing because of you.
I don't know.
One man, one beer, one person at a time.
But thank you.
And if you're drunk, you'll still be served beer, but in less quantities. It's called Cyrus Says. Stay where you are.
Hello there, my name is Naveen Narona, and as a gay person in India, I get asked a lot of stupid questions.
Beta, is it LGBT or eligibility?
How do two men procreate?
Bro, is Grindr better than Tinder or what?
We answer all these questions and much more on my podcast, Keeping It Queer, where I talk to individuals from the LGBT community in India and learn about their personal stories. Catch new episodes of Keeping It Queer every Monday on Audioboom, iTunes Global, SoundCloud, YouTube, or generally any of the podcasting apps. In fact, you can now download the IVM podcast app and listen to it. Happy listening.
Okay, back with Gregory Kroitsch, as you say, Deutsch.
Yeah.
And that must be fun in India, the surname. Come on, tell me. When people call you up and say, what are the worst names?
What
have they said?
No idea where to start. Most of the time, they don't even start.
Oh, come on.
You were very brave to actually try to pronounce it.
You must have, come on. You must have heard some fantastic options.
Kroitsch. Yeah.
Did you ever get a Kroitsch?
Yeah, sure.
Kroitsch. Yeah, I'll just spell it out for the people listening. It's Kroitzsh.
Right.
So I can just see somebody on a call company calling him up and going, Mr. Kroitsch, this is about water leakage in the house. Oh, that's fun. So before we get back into the beer, how have you adjusted to Mumbai? You've been here how many years now?
8 years now.
So now you're a Mumbaikar. 8 years is too late to go back.
I drive my own car. I drive everywhere.
So you lose your temper every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's
yell at
clear.
people, honk my horn as well as anybody.
MC, BC, you know the words to use.
Yeah, I get flat tires and potholes just like everybody else.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but it grows on you after some time. And the indiscipline
Like
is chaotic. But yeah, I know. My worry is that, that after some time we need the indiscipline because we're just incapable of having discipline. It's just out of control. Hence, we need a beer post 6 o'clock.
Right.
Okay, back to the beer. Greg, now, how did the whole... So, again, let's understand where you are. You're sick of the corporate world. You've had a bad experience in America. Not much better here in India.
Yeah.
You're getting a little frustrated. You've wasted all that talent and studying that you've done. And you're thinking, what am I doing? Because it's not like you're a guy who's done nothing all his life. Suddenly, you're in the middle of your life, and what are you doing? And then you get this brainwave to brew beer.
Yeah. So the first thing is I just started talking to as many people as I could. And there are a lot of people who said, oh, don't talk to people about this. This is a good idea. You should keep it secret. But I just, because that's sort of like, part of the...
Distrust is a very important part of our DNA.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I have to talk to people because I have to figure out whether this is a good idea or not. But because of that, I did get a lot of good ideas from people. People were very open to talk about it. And I, through network here and friends, we built up the capital to launch the company. And there was a lot of excitement about it. That excitement was frayed a bit when we had to go through the licensing process.
Welcome to India. Turn right for Mumbai. Turn left for Lucknow. All right. So before you take us through that, did you ever think of just being online and probably sending beer to people's houses, like custom-made beer from your back kitchen? Was that an idea? Or was it always go big, have a place, have a microbrewery, which has not been there in the country before?
Yeah, I think that would, I think with India and the licensing and the policies and the rules, online is very difficult.
So take us through what happened.
You have to start at the basics, I think. With something like beer and alcohol, you have to start at the very basics. And but we are being innovative, right? We're trying something new. So there was some sense of, will it work? Will craft beer actually work here in India? Will people pay a premium for beer when they're used to paying?
So just give us a price differential. What are we paying?
Well, the pricing was important because you see, like the domestics, what we call like domestic swill. It was at a certain amount. Maybe at the bars it was like say 150 for a pint. Okay, and then the imports, so heavily taxed, those are maybe 300, 350 and above. Well, there was a nice little pricing slot for craft beer to operate, So right now, for a pint, it's about 250.
Okay, so somewhere between the Carlsberg and the Kingfisher is your pint?
No, somewhere between the Kingfisher, Carlsbergs, and the Hoogardens and
the foreign ones
Guinness.
That we can't get here.
Yeah,
okay,
but they do come in, but they're highly priced. So people want them. People want those too. But what we're offering is a product which is as good as the imported beers, but for half the price.
But tell us a little bit about the process now. When you try to apply, there are partners involved in this as well?
Yes.
I take it they're Indian?
Yes, most of them are Indian. Yes.
So how did you go apply for things? How do you explain what you were trying to do? It must have been fun. Trying to explain to the bureaucrats.
But I was blessed with a lot of friends and family that were very supportive and
people with Zen-like patience.
Yeah, sometimes I wish they had a little bit more, but I mean they do need patience, and I learned the.
So is there any incident that you remember dealing with anybody? What we call the babudam, people from the bureaucracy trying to get licenses, to explain to them what you're trying to do, because I'm trying to understand this concept is something that people wouldn't get the first time as well.
Exactly.
Because it's not just a beer store or beer bar. It's clearly something more than that. So
So I had to. I was the first to get our microbrewery license here in Mumbai. So I did have to explain the concept to a lot of people that had never heard of it before. And
did they ask to taste your stuff? Did they say can we taste craft beer?
Yeah. Most of them no, but I was brewing my own craft beer, actually. I was brewing some
So you
home
could give them a little taste?
No, but you're not supposed to be brewing craft beer. And I have a funny story, kind of a sign that I was on the right track. I was doing some home brew and at the same time learning a little Hindi. And then I realized at my flat, the label outside the door, the person who was living there before was Daruvala. So I thought, this is a sign that I must be on the right track.
That's fantastic.
Right?
That's karma, man. That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
thank God it wasn't Screwwala, because what would you do then?
I think that's illegal here, right?
Oops. Yeah. Who knows? With a little money, everything's legal. Life changes as we know. So you had to deal with all these people, but somehow or the other, with the help of the partners, I think it was up and running.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about corruption here, right? And you must have had to,
Bribe
make so
70
many
people,
bribes, and you know what? What was surprising? It wasn't really that way. What was one, they were intrigued about this foreigner who was trying to make this happen, and they didn't quite know what to do with me, I think. But the other thing is they didn't quite know what to do with the idea either, because they weren't sure whether it was actually legal to do it.
And am I right?
So then they didn't know how to even ask or whether they should ask anything like this. So it took me 2 years just to try to figure out how to make this policy work, go back and forth to the different industries, and we got it done. We got it done without doing the bribery route.
But am I right in saying that you have to get a separate license for beer and a separate license for other alcohol? Is that so? That if it's only beer, it's a separate license? Why is that?
For beer manufacturing, yeah.
So why is that?
It's a different process. I think that's fair enough.
For example, Barking Deer is only beer. There's no question of drinking anything else.
No, we're only beer manufacturing.
Okay.
We got a beer manufacturing license.
So one can have wine or whiskey or whatever.
Exactly, but that's a different license.
But you're known...
That's a sales license.
Oh, okay.
So we got a liquor license to sell beer, wine, and liquor on our premises, but we have a different license just for making beer.
And where's the brewery?
The brewery is behind the bar.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah,
so it's as fresh as you can get. I was literally
fresh.
It's like drinking from the cow's udders, to use a phrase which is not popular in India anymore.
We like to call it grain to glass.
Grain to glass.
So it's...
And in beer, does that make any difference, the freshness?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a huge difference.
So tell us now, what kind of people come in, and is there a thing like loyalty to craft beer? Do people once they go there say, this is it, I never want to drink another style beer
happens.
again?
Yes. We get people who are regulars. They come every day. They drive from Powai and other outskirts just to have our beer. There's one beer that people just can't get enough in particular. It's called our Flying Pig Belgian Wit.
Flying Pig Belgian Wit?
Yeah.
Also known as Ramu. Why can't you just have a small Indian name? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
who thinks of these names?
I did. And the Flying Pig came from the idea because of the licensing process. It took us 2 years to get our license, and our general feeling was when pigs fly, we'll get our license.
Oh, nicely done.
So then,
I thought you were going to abuse somebody and we're going to lose our license. I was really worried. Oopsie.
So that was one of the names, and then our whole kind of naming scheme became these sort of little impossibilities, like a Bombay Blonde. That's one of our other beers' names.
Inspired by?
How many blondes you see in Bombay? Right?
Huge. The unnatural blonde movement is biggest here for some reason. Yeah,
right.
That must drive you crazy.
And then Barking Deer, of course, is sort of a.
Where did Barking Deer come from? Is that a Vermont special?
No,
it's in India. Barking deers?
In India, there's an animal called the barking deer, also called the muntjac, and it's resident to the hills and all around here, up in the mountains. And we created this logo that looks kind of fierce. It's got these tusks, and it looks like it's about to, kind of angry and in the middle of a bark. But then I learned more about the creature. It's actually very wimpy. And whenever it gets scared by like a lion in the jungle, it just barks for like an hour, and you can't get it to stop.
Which is the smart thing to do, so the lion can come and eat him. He's really thought through his defense plan, this guy.
But I guess what it is I guess they serve a purpose in the jungle. They're early warning systems for trouble, right? So
I thought it was something to do with my own spouse, Barking Deer. Because she's a deer and she's always barking. I'm like, dear, why are you barking? She's always angry. But that's a story for another day.
Well, that's for husbands that stay too long in my
pub. Now let's talk about the wife and the family for a bit. So you set this up. What were their reactions? Daddy's going to make daru. Here in India, in a middle-class India, it would be like huge if a guy gives up his life in the middle and says, okay, I'm going to brew beer. It'd probably worry a lot of people, let's be honest. So what was that like at home when you decided this is what you're going to do?
My wife was very supportive. She
said, I'll work longer hours, dear. Right. You bark away.
Well, there was some times when we were just starting out and I was not getting a paycheck because, the operations weren't going as smoothly as they could have been. She was like, you have a company. Why aren't you getting a paycheck? When are you going to start to earn some money?
See, this is the thing about us Desis,
come on. I'm the trailing spouse. You have to give me a little break here,
but
right?
Not for long.
But of course, my children now have grown up. One is 18 and the other is 16, and one is actually leaving for university.
I think it's really cool if you're 18 or 16, your dad's in the beer business.
So they learned that.
Yeah.
They learned that was actually kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, because everybody else's dad is like, he works for his father's glass business. They manufacture glass. And my dad brews beer, and the brewery is right here. Come. So 18 birthday party must have been fun, man.
Yeah, she takes some of her friends to the Barking Deer sometimes, and I have to kick them out.
Yeah, because they're underage. We're not very sure what the age is anymore. Keep changing the licenses anyway. Yeah.
But she likes to show that off, I think, sometimes.
So now it's also, let's be honest, Barking Deer has got a very hip quotient, and I suppose it's very difficult for us to understand in Mumbai, as against the rest of the world, what works in terms of nightclubs and drinking holes, etc.
Yeah.
But for some reason, some of them just seem to survive and have this hip quotient to it, and people just go there. I think how important is having these loyal, regular customers who come back?
Absolutely. That is so important. We have loyalty programs. We have something called the Mug Club, where you get your own mug inscribed with your name, so
that's your achievement. My local beer club loves me. Beer club loves me.
This is my achievement for Mumbai.
Yeah,
a mug club.
I think it's nice. If nobody, you're feeling bad after a hard week at work, and you go back to you
have your name on your mug,
pub, and you have your name on your mug, and they care about you. They're like, "Oh, welcome back, Greg. Please sit down."
That's the whole point, right? You have a place that cares about you. They know your name and is actually on your mug. Yeah, right. And that's the type of atmosphere that it is, right? It's a place where people come back again and again, and they know all the waiters by name. They have their favorites even sometimes.
Are these loyal beer drinkers, or are we now, because the spectrum of alcohol is being served there? Yeah. But is beer working? Can I ask this question?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is the kind of sophisticated beer that you brew, is it working? Do people take to it? Have you got new people coming and saying, this is what I want to drink?
Oh, yeah. You see sort of a graduation where they might start out with the wheat beer, which is the most approachable beer. And now I see those same people trying and experimenting with some of our more experimental beers, right? Mm-hmm. We have this robust Bark IPA, which is an India Pale Ale, which is full-flavored, a bit bitter. Indians don't like bitter flavors so much, but some of them are getting a taste for that. We've got more experimental flavors, styles. We have a masala chai beer.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, we have that on tap right now.
What does that mean? There's chai in the beer?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's really
Some
good.
things you can't mix.
No, it's good.
You put chai in my beer. It's okay if you put beer in my chai, but it doesn't work the other way.
You know what's funny is that actually a lot of Indians have that idea, but expats who come, they're like, oh, that sounds great. I want to try that. But the Indians don't accept. But then they come around and say, oh, I guess this does work. This does work.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep reinventing the wheel here and finding different kind of beers to go to, local sort of taste to get to.
Sure. So that's what we have. We have like our 3 or 4 beers we have on tap all the time, and then we have 6 taps. So we rotate, 2 or 3 different ones. We have a chocolate stout. Right now we have.
So there's chocolate in the stout?
Yes. There's a chocolate malt.
I'm just thinking from a health point of view.
It's nice.
I'll have the chocolate stout. Plenty of beer, plenty of chocolate.
dark beer, rich. Very nice beer.
Are Indian women taking to beer?
Generally,
it was not so popular with the ladies back in the day.
We have what we call honeybee braggot, which is a mix between beer and mead, which is fermented honey. Mm-hmm. So there's a nice sweetness to it. There's a nice tanginess to it. And
this is a real collection.
Ladies who don't necessarily like beer, they try that and they'll be like, oh.
So what is the incentive is the sweet, is it?
Yeah,
to bring them closer
sweet
to the beer
and smooth
then slowly create the taste.
Right, and we've got another beer on tap right now called a Gosa, and that brings in my
sounds like a Bengali surname.
Yeah, maybe.
I had a Gosal in class with me.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
This is a German beer.
German, Bengali, who can tell?
So, and you spelled out my name, and so when you have a brewery, you can name a beer after yourself. So I did. It's called Kreutschlander Gosa. And this is a beer as kind of part of my heritage, the German heritage.
Right.
It comes from East Germany by Leipzig. It's a traditional beer from there.
What the famous university is.
I thought, I brewed it for my birthday a year ago, and I realized that, okay, my ancestors from 1880 when they came over, they probably drank this beer. So I recreated it. It is a salty, spicy Hefeweizen, which is a wheat beer. And
Salty?
yes, it sounds interesting, different, but I tell you, it is surprisingly smooth, and people are loving it here. So, so I thought, okay, this is sort of a part of my heritage, and I took the name because my father's homebrew, he used to call it Kreutschlander. So this is sort of like...
is it going to be like a franchise with the name, or would it be different? What's the...
Since it's so customized and so crafted, my belief is that franchising is difficult. We want to make sure that the experience is the same, so we are pretty much hands-on, and we're looking to expand in the next year or so and duplicate the
So it'll be
Barking Deer.
outside the city? Another city? Or?
Yeah, well, we'll start here and then start moving out.
Irony, if it goes to America finally. We have like 7-8 cities in India, and then you move Barking Deer back to Vermont and New York City.
I have this idea.
Yeah.
You know Jackson Heights,
Of course.
Queens?
Well, these are all Indian territories, my friend. Claimed by us.
So my thought is to take Barking Deer, make a Barking Deer for the hipsters there. Instead, here we have like very light beers for the Indian palate and kind of more Western style food. In the States, I could flip it on its head. I could have Indian food and IPAs, robust beers.
Really?
And all the hipsters would go to it.
But also a lot of the Indian Americans.
Yeah, the Indian Americans.
So you'll start
too.
with the local Indian Americans and then spread it from there.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
I like your thinking.
Who knows? We'll
Available everywhere but Syria. At the moment, let me tell you. That's the dream.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Greg, it's been great talking to you, but we do have a section called the AMAs, where we have to talk some more on general things and just test your general knowledge. So if you stay for a second, we'll do that, and then we'll have a beer together. I know this place called Leopold. You must come.
Okay, good.
Old Indian beers, and I mean
I want some
old.
beer in here.
My-
Other podcasts, I think we can drink beer, but not in this one.
Of course we can. We just have to say it's Pepsi. We don't have to, we
okay.
can drink what we want. They can't say anything. Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, we're drinking beer now.
There you go.
If you have any questions for Cyrus, write to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Or you can send an email to whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
All right, here on the AMAs with Gregory. The big question is, Amit, can you pronounce Greg's surname?
Kroitsch.
Say it again.
Kroitsch. I think that's pretty close.
It's okay. Possible because
that is definitely passable.
possible because he's been through hell. You have no idea. People have called him up and called him names. Literally names.
Listen, the American dude living in India, you're going to get screwed, just like Indian dudes living in America get screwed.
And Indian dudes living in India get screwed.
Well,
Don't leave
true.
us out.
It was. I grew up. They butchering my name and calling me Crotch. So I don't usually get that here.
But that's choice. I don't mind that. If they're trying to be funny and pick on you, it's different. But this is just absolutely not knowing.
They don't even know where to go. They don't even know how to call me Crotch.
Yeah, I mean, they must suddenly be, because Gregory is okay. A lot of them will get Gregory. So Gregory, and then suddenly it's like a big bouncer.
Yeah.
Right is a shot.
Yeah.
I learned, we had this one DJ who used to work with us, and if she couldn't say her name, she just say it fast. She told me, I'd ask her, why do you talk like that? I can't pronounce the name, so just say it quickly. So the name is
you just go run
so it's
past.
Jagmohan Dalmia, not coming to your tongue well. So it's like, Jagmohan Dalmia, so tell me a little bit more about your, it's like
That's Shahnaaz Trariwala, right?
No, it's Maria Goretti.
Oh, okay.
Shahnaaz very sweet. She doesn't care about the name.
No, but yeah, because she used to mangle names all the time, right?
But she would just mangle names.
Yeah.
It didn't affect her.
Oh, she didn't care. Okay.
Yeah. Let's get back to
All
Greg
right, yes.
before we get lost in girls, which is what we used to do, Greg. Now we're all married here except Amit. And Amit has decided never to be married for some reason. Yeah. He's just not found the right beer. I want to ask you a question, and this is a question we actually got some time back, but I don't have the email here, which is, why can't we lower the drinking age in India? Now, let's just understand. What is the drinking age in America?
It's
In most
21.
states, it's 21.
Yeah.
It's 25 here, by the way, in Maharashtra.
For spirits.
For spirits, which is ridiculous.
Beer and wine is
Okay, no, my
8.21.
question to you is, I'm sorry to interrupt, is that everything is, these kids are mature at 16 now. Okay, come on. I mean, just look at the internet, look at what they're exposed to, and who are we kidding? And they can drive at 16 now with a learner's license. So why are we holding back on the alcohol? Either they're going to be responsible adults or not.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can vote at 18, right?
Yeah.
You can serve in your armed forces at 18.
Yes, you can.
And this is exactly the same in the United States. And
So what's with the 21, 25,
it's a bit-
35?
it's too parental, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's too much of a parental attitude, the government,
I think these
to
are
its people.
old rules, right? These are old laws, and people,
I just think the
nobody
next
has the
generation
balls
is
to-
growing up a lot faster. Don't look at it from a figure's point of view. With the kind of exposure they have to media outside, electronic and otherwise. And I just think that 21 and 25 to drink alcohol, Who are we kidding? Who
think,
waits?
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna
I
wait.
think it's ridiculous
People
from
don't
that. I think that's the biggest problem with it, right? It basically creates a contempt for law, which
Yeah.
is like the really biggest problem because nobody pays attention
The
to
law
21.
can't be an ass.
Yeah, no, but
It can be an ass-ish, but not a full ass.
yeah, no, but you have contempt for it, right? You
Now,
don't believe it. You
let's
don't
ask the beer manufacturer the big question.
Yes.
What age would you allow into your bar? What do you think would be appropriate?
Oh, if they change the law,
Would you be okay with 16, 17?
I think 18 would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think 18 makes
18
sense.
would be
But beer,
appropriate.
just beer. Suppose you had a beer section where you
Yeah.
could only drink beer. Could beer be allowed at 16? I think beer should be allowed.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a tough question because you look at cultures like beer drinking cultures like
Germany
England and Germany. I believe those places it's 16.
It's
but
3.5. Just come back.
right. I mean, but they it's part of their life, part of their lifestyle. Maybe it's a little bit different here. Maybe
And they can hold their
take
drinks.
it in steps.
Yeah, I think, like trying to get it to 18 is a big enough step right now, right?
Yeah.
So, like, get it to 18,
Right.
then see what happens with that, and then try and push it further. But if you try and go for 16 right now, that's a losing battle.
To requote Martin Luther King, I have a dream that one day
You can drink beer when you are
all
24
children
years.
over the age of 11 will be able to walk into Barking Deer and say, bartender, give me an IPA, please, on the double. Yeah.
Right. So, but I guess that kind of leads in well into another question that we got.
Mm-hmm.
What's your drink of choice?
Okay, let's throw it first to our
Let's try the
proprietor.
expert first.
The expert.
My drink of choice would be an India Pale Ale.
Okay.
Okay, now this is wearing the business hat, or this is actually what you would drink?
This is what I drink day
By
in and
choice.
day out.
If you weren't a brewer, if you were still a banker, you'd still be drinking this.
Absolutely, and this is the most popular style of beer, craft beer in the United States right now.
Is it?
Is India Pale Ale IPAs, and they are going off in all kinds of different directions. They are some of them are fruity, some of them are dank, and some of them they're all bitter. They're all some of them are citrusy. It's fascinating.
So what you're saying is in the India pale
Very complex.
ale genre, we can get all kinds of tastes.
All kinds of tastes. Right now,
It's a bit like the marriage
there are
market.
some India Pale Ales here in India, but they haven't been given much of a chance because the Indian taste buds aren't really geared toward the bitterness of it.
Why is that?
I don't know.
You have really
honestly,
sweet tooth. What is the reason?
I think one that is
He's right. You know,
yeah,
when we
don't like the
go abroad,
bitter.
nobody drinks stout. You will never see people like us with a stout or a Guinness.
So I think stouts are overrated. I
no,
actually,
no,
I
bitter,
get,
bitter.
I like bitter beer. I like pale ales. I like lagers. I like all kinds of stuff. I don't like stouts, man.
That's because
Yeah, but stouts are different. That's like if you like your coffee black.
Yeah, I'll do.
You do.
I do.
But that's a sort of very similar
I don't
flavor.
like
that's
stout
like a
for- I-
roastiness.
I just don't
but
like
the
stout.
bitterness of beer, that's a hop bitterness, right?
Okay.
That's a different sort of bitterness. And you can have like kind of citrusy bitterness, or you can have
no, but
piney
across the
bitterness.
board, we don't like that bitter.
Yeah.
We need the bitter to be brought down.
It's
And he
a little
knows
bit,
better
yeah,
than us.
yeah,
He's
of
doing
course,
it.
Well, you know what's interesting? Like a lot of chefs that like to pair their food and beer, they always say Indian food pairs the best with IPAs.
I would agree with that.
And
Absolutely.
because the Indian foods are robust, flavorful, and they really hold up to the flavorfulness of an IPA.
yeah, I agree with that. Also,
but
yeah,
for reasons Indians don't get that. I don't, it's interesting. I don't.
yeah, that makes sense to me, right?
We'll only
Indian
get it
food
when
is generally
Priyanka
spicy.
Chopra or Hrithik Roshan
not?
endorse the product and then do it.
Well,
and then
Priyanka
we
spends a
copy.
lot of time in the United States, so maybe she's drinking
Far
a good
too much,
IPA.
I think. They should
Yeah.
check that immigration law there. What
Yeah.
the hell is that young child doing in bars in the United States?
She's been to the Barking Deer, by the way.
Has she?
Yeah.
Has she paid for her own drink? I bet not. These Bollywood types
I-
never pay.
Yeah.
Greg, I'm telling you. See, he knows.
I tried to get her interested in trying the beer, but she was a bit preoccupied.
Careful about how she looks in public. and then took 6 beers on the go. Back in the trailer.
No doubt.
Greg, give me another. Something male's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
what fun.
The-
One last drinking
yeah.
story. Come on, give us a drinking story.
Drinking story.
Your personal drinking story. Tell us one funny story from your collection of drink ups over the years. Or from the Barking Deer. As a bartender, come proprietor, watching people misbehave. What do we Indians do? Which oh God, here we go
Okay.
again. There must be something.
So we're a bar that features, continental fare, Western music. That's sort of our branding, right? And beer from all over the world, basically American brew pub, right? But what happens when we get a crowded Friday or Saturday night, and people are having a great time, and they've had a lot of beer. The music goes Bollywood. Many times, so they get the request and, let's play this song. And of course the DJ, has to...
Under pressure.
Under pressure, and wants to make people happy. So by the end of the night, you get people dancing with their
You've
hands.
lost control over your subculture
Yeah.
that you're trying to create.
But it's fun. It's all in
they've got
fun.
the Bhangra disco.
Yeah.
It's all of the players, and your name is being bastardized. Gregory! Oh, Gregory! It's not shut.
But it's
you
one
must be
of
having
the
fun.
things that pisses me off to no extent, right? You go to any party
If
with
the proprietor
anybody,
can't stop the music, who can?
I don't know what to do, but every party you go to, it's like all of a sudden, like, up until 11:30, you'll be hearing really good music. You'll hear Dire Straits,
Amit, that's
The
the scary
Doors,
part.
it's
The
that.
scary part
Seconds
is
to 11:30, it's like Bollywood on.
But it's like the guys like us, the desi guys who've done Stanford and Harvard who are back here,
And they're still-
and we're like this, and 5 drinks later, they're the ones who want it.
who are insisting.
Brings back good
I mean,
memories,
you-
right? It gives them the warm fuzzies to hear that.
Yeah, but they've got Pink Floyd albums by
I
the
know,
ton.
and
What
it's
the
so
hell?
aggravating, man. Right? I'm like at a party, I'm listening. All of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're listening to this Honey Singh stupid raps and like all this kind of
It's not
jackassery.
stupid raps. It's well thought out raps, which
whatever,
sound
man.
stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fine. I'm
So
sorry.
this is why he drinks himself. This is why Gregory opens his own beer at 1:30 in the morning because he can't stop the music. Right, oh?
Yeah. No, one of the first posts I put on my Instagram account was drink beer like it's your day job. And that's the way I
Dedication.
live. Yeah.
All right. Gregory, thank you so much for being here on Cyrus Says, and we'll be at Barking Deer in a couple of hours.
Good.
Join us
Excellent.
for IPA
Join us.
and Priyanka Chopra. And the Bhangra, yeah. The Bhangra, of course.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, catch us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Beyond Pod, any of the podcasting apps. Please, we beg you, we need you. If you have any questions, write to us online, and you can mail us as well. We will answer. We have a doctor in the house called me.
And that's what Cyrus says.
After India, Australia, after South Africa, England, after Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, coming soon, the Empowering Series, the series to end all series. That's right. Zarina Poonawalla talks to Amit Doshi about how to become a great boss. As in, Amit has to become a better boss. She's already a great boss. Check out new episodes on our IVM podcast apps. Also, you can find them on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, etc. Not etc., but etc. Happy listening, and fathers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out IVM Podcasts to catch some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.